layman's name for factory farms is concentrated animal feeding operations. Factory farms don't only affect the lives of the animals, but also the human health, environment, and the economy as well. The poor treatment that the animals go through during their time at the factory farms highly affects the human health. Great amounts of food need to be harvested in order to feed all these animals, which highly affects our environment. Also, the economy is greatly hit by these large factory farms.
Human health is at risk because of factory farms. Animals are kept in crowded, confined, and unsanitary conditions. As a result, they are more prone to sickness and diseases. Rather than improving the basic living conditions of the animals, factory farms add disease-fighting antibiotics to the animals' food.
The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell.
Factory farms prefer using antibiotics to try preventing the widespread of disease because it's less expensive and they feel it's boosting the animals' growth rates, allowing them to bring the animals to market faster. As a result, approximately 70% of antibiotics used in the United States are fed to farm animals for non-therapeutic reasons.
Children waiting for the day they feel.
The manure that animals produce carries many harmful microorganisms that cause diseases like E. coli and Salmonella. These pathogens can survive in manure, soil, and water for many weeks or even months, creating an ongoing threat to the public health. Children, the elderly, and people with weakened immune systems are especially at risk and are in great danger of developing serious and life-threatening infections because of the profit-driven actions of factory farmers.
What's my lesson?
Factory farms contaminate underground and surface water with pollutants such as hormones, heavy metals, and salts. These items contaminate water, making it more difficult and more expensive to purify water for human consumption. Environmental Protection Agency surveys of the nation's water supply found that about 40% is polluted to the extent of being unfit for fishing and swimming.
People run in circles.
Lastly, factory farms endanger human health by releasing pollutants into the air. The most significant air pollutants are from the large-scale processing of manure in man-made lagoons and from the land which they spread manure. The hazardous gases are formed from urine, manure, and particles from the food the animals digest. With all this being said, the government is clearly aware of these issues and still chooses not to do anything about it because of the financial impact generated by factory farms.
We're live with Bob from Winder Farms to ask a couple questions about how factory farms affect his business. So how do factory farms affect your business?
Well, there's a lot of information in the press these days about factory farms and the quality of food that people are eating these days. Just yesterday in the Review Journal there was a big article about the use of antibiotics and how widespread it is in this country, and how 70% of the antibiotics used in this country are actually injected into the animals that we either get food from or that we eat directly.
Hide my head, I wanna.
Large quantities of crops are needed to be harvested in order for the variety of animals at the factory farms to be fed. The majority of crops that are harvested by farmers are fed to the animals at factory farms, which results in natural wildfire being destroyed because more room is needed for harvesting extra crops. The waste that is produced by these animals is 130 times greater than the amount of wasted by humans.
Also, how some of the things that the animals are ingesting actually affect the end consumer and how it's not good for humans.
Our economy is suffering greatly because of these factory farms. It is harder for small privately owned farms to prosper from their safer, healthier products because the factory farms are in their way. The reason that factory farms tend to prosper more than small farms is that their food is much cheaper. However, what the public doesn't know is that there are hidden costs behind factory farming. These costs include environmental deterioration, damage to human health, and destruction of rural communities, which are all paid by taxpayers and not by the owners of the factory farms. Not only do the factory farms treat their animals badly, but also their employees. The employment offered in these operations is very dangerous and also low paying. Some of the factory farms pay their workers as low as $7.50 an hour.
People are just tired of not knowing what's in their food and ingesting all these things that aren't necessarily good for them.
In conclusion, the factory farms not only leave an impact on the lifestyle of the animals, but on the humans as well. The humans are actually affected the most because their health is at stake. Their environment is being destroyed and their economic situation is harder.